The holographic display flickered to life in the command center of the Velthar Supremacy's flagship, casting an eerie blue glow across the assembled War Council. Fleet Admiral Crixthul's 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical readout, showing the Sol system, a mere speck in the vast darkness of space, containing a single yellow star and its collection of insignificant planets. "Explain to me again," Crixthul's voice rumbled through his translator, "why the Galactic Council has classified this primitive system as extreme hazard, do not engage, when our scouts report they barely possess faster-than-light travel, intelligence." Officer Yendar shifted nervously, his chromatophore-covered skin cycling through anxious purple hues. "Sir, the classification came directly from the Zephyrian hegemony after their encounter with the humans 3 cycles ago. They lost their entire 7th Fleet, over 2,000 vessels, to what they described as impossible tactical adaptations and weaponized creativity." The War Council erupted in dismissive chittering and mechanical scoffs. General Voxic, whose cybernetic enhancements gleamed under the holographic light, slammed a metallic fist onto the table. "Preposterous! The Zephyrians are known for their cowardice. They probably encountered a minor defensive grid and panicked. These humans," he gestured contemptuously at the display, "have existed for less than a cosmic heartbeat. They're nothing but evolved mammals clinging to their dirt ball." Crixthul's mandibles clicked in what passed for agreement among his species. The Velthar had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade, each falling within standard operational parameters. The humans, according to their intelligence, had only recently developed warp drive and had established a handful of colonies within their own system. Their technology was crude, their military doctrine non-existent by galactic standards. "The Zephyrians also reported something else," Yendar continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "They said the humans didn't just defeat them, they studied them. During the engagement, the human vessels began adapting to Zephyrian tactics in real time, turning their own weapons against them, exploiting weaknesses that shouldn't have been apparent to such a young species. Commander Fexinal, the fleet's tactical coordinator, brought up additional data streams. Our own reconnaissance confirms minimal military presence. Approximately 47 armed vessels of varying design, no standardized weaponry, no unified command structure. Their largest ship masses less than a quarter of our smallest destroyer." The hubris in the room was palpable. The Velthar Supremacy had faced the galaxy's greatest empires and emerged victorious. Their biomechanical hybrid technology, perfected over millennia, had proven superior to every enemy they'd encountered. Their fleet of 300 vessels represented enough firepower to glass entire continents. "Perhaps," Crixthul mused, "it's time someone reminded the Galactic Council that warnings are meant for lesser species. Set course for Sul. We'll establish orbital supremacy, demand their surrender, and add another trophy to our collection. These humans will learn their place in the cosmic order." As the massive fleet began its journey toward Earth, none aboard could have imagined they were about to encounter something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that didn't just fight to win, they fought to learn. And every engagement with humanity became a lesson in why some warnings should never be ignored. The human monitoring station on Luna's far side detected the anomaly first, a gravitational disturbance unlike anything in their databases. Deep space sensors, hastily repurposed from astronomical observation equipment, painted a terrifying picture. 300 alien vessels dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Captain Nyx Valerian stood in the command center of the ESA defense platform, her augmented reality display showing the impossible fleet arrangement. Each alien vessel dwarfed humanity's largest ships, their biomechanical hulls pulsing with an otherworldly energy that made her skin crawl. "Transmission. Incoming!" reported Lieutenant Commander Corvus Meridian, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. It's in perfect standard English. The view screen filled with the image of Fleet Admiral Crixthul, his 4 eyes fixed on the camera with predatory intensity. Primitive humans of Sol, I am Fleet Admiral Crixthul of the Velthar Supremacy. Your system is now under our dominion. Surrender your military assets and prepare for integration into our empire. Resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your worlds. Valerian's jaw tightened. Around her, the multinational crew of the defense platform, Terran, Martian, Belter, and Jovian, exchanged grim looks. They'd known this day might come, but not so soon, not with such overwhelming force. Open a channel, she ordered. Admiral Crixthul, I am Captain Nix Valerian of the Earth-Space Alliance. We have received your message. However, I must inform you that humanity does not surrender easily. We would prefer to discuss terms. The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Terms? Your species possesses nothing we desire except your worlds. You have 1 solar day to comply, or we will begin orbital bombardment. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in heavy silence. Valerian turned to her tactical. Officer, Commander Riven Ashford. How long until our dispersed fleet can rendezvous? 18 hours, Captain. But against 300 ships. Ashford's voice trailed off. We're outnumbered 7-1, Valerian acknowledged. But we have one advantage they don't expect. She activated the quantum communication array, broadcasting to every human vessel in the system. All units, this is Valerian. Implement Protocol Prometheus. They want to fight. Let's give them an education. Unknown to the Velthar, humanity had spent the decades since achieving faster-than-light travel preparing for this exact scenario. Their seemingly ramshackle fleet wasn't the product of inexperience. It was a deliberate strategy. Each vessel was unique, carrying experimental weapons and systems designed by different factions. No 2 ships shared the same tactical profile. Commander Quinn Vesper, aboard the converted asteroid mining vessel Ragnarok's Edge, grinned as she reviewed her ship's unconventional armament. They want to see what humans are capable of? Time to show them why we're called the species that turned rocks into tools, tools into weapons, and weapons into art. The Velthar fleet advanced in perfect formation, their biomechanical ships maintaining the geometric precision that had served them. Across a dozen conquests, they had no way of knowing that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was their fundamental unpredictability. As the first engagement began, Admiral Crixthul would learn a hard lesson. Never underestimate a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history turning disadvantages into advantages. The battle erupted at the asteroid belt, where humanity had positioned its most unconventional assets. The Velthar fleet maintained their standard attack formation, a wall of destruction designed to overwhelm through sheer firepower. It had worked against every species they'd encountered. Admiral Crixthul watched from his flagship as the human vessels approached in what appeared to be complete chaos. No formation discipline, no standardized tactics, ships of wildly different designs moving in seemingly random patterns. Easy targets, General Voxic observed, his cybernetic enhancements calculating optimal firing solutions. Commence Orbital Bombardment Pattern 7. The first volley of plasma cannons lit up the void, each shot precisely calculated to destroy a human vessel. But something unprecedented happened. The humans didn't follow any recognizable tactical doctrine. Instead of maintaining formation or retreating, they scattered like a school of fish, each ship responding with its own unique strategy. Commander Quinn Vesper's Ragnarok's Edge suddenly rotated, presenting what appeared to be its unarmored mining equipment to the Velthar weapons. The plasma bolts struck the modified ore processors and were absorbed, converted, and redirected as concentrated energy beams that sliced through 2 enemy destroyers. Impossible, Crixthul snarled. How did they weaponize industrial equipment? The answer came from Captain Lyra Nightfall aboard the Prometheus Unbound, a ship that had been deliberately designed to look like a civilian transport. As Velthar cruisers closed in for what should have been an easy kill, her vessel suddenly bloomed with hidden weapons, kinetic harpoons, electromagnetic pulse generators, and swarms of micro-drones that had been masquerading as cargo containers. Intelligence. Officer Yendar's skin shifted to alarmed crimson. "Sir, they're not following any known combat protocols. Each ship is utilizing completely different tactical approaches. Our targeting computers can't predict their movements." That was when the humans revealed their true strategy. Captain Nix Valerian's voice echoed across the quantum communication network. "All units, execute Pattern Omega. Show them why we're called the species that learns." The human fleet suddenly coordinated in a way that defied logic. Ships that had been acting independently began sharing tactical data in real time, each vessel's unique capabilities complementing the others. The converted mining ship's energy redirection systems powered the stealth corvette's cloaking fields. The disguised transport's micro-drones provided targeting data for the long-range bombardment vessels. But the most terrifying aspect was how quickly the humans adapted to Velthar tactics. Commander Riven Ashford, analyzing the enemy's plasma bolt trajectories from his position on a modified research vessel, cracked their targeting algorithms within minutes. "They're using predictive firing based on momentum vectors," he broadcast to the fleet. "Randomize your acceleration patterns and they'll miss by kilometers." The Velthar, accustomed to facing species with rigid military hierarchies and standardized equipment, found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to evolve during combat. Every tactic they employed was immediately countered, often in ways they hadn't considered possible. Captain Zara Voidwalker, commanding the experimental vessel, Entropy's Edge, demonstrated the human approach to warfare by turning her ship's malfunctioning gravity drive into a weapon. Instead of trying to repair it, she aimed it at the enemy fleet and activated it, creating localized gravitational anomalies that tore apart the Velthar formation. "They're improvising," Yendar reported, his voice filled with something approaching awe. "They're taking damaged systems and turning them into weapons. Their entire fleet is adapting faster than our tactical computers can compensate." Admiral Crixthul realized with growing horror that he wasn't just facing a military engagement, he was witnessing the birth of a new form of warfare. The humans weren't trying to win through superior technology or numbers. They were trying to learn everything about the Velthar while simultaneously teaching them nothing in return. The first phase of the battle ended with the Velthar fleet in disarray, having lost 40 ships to an enemy that should have been eliminated within minutes. But the humans had only just begun to demonstrate why the galaxy had learned to fear them. Admiral Crixthul retreated to the outer system, his remaining 260 vessels forming a defensive perimeter. His command staff huddled around. Tactical displays, their earlier confidence replaced by something approaching panic. "Impossible," General Voxic repeated for the 5th time, his cybernetic processors struggling to comprehend the data. "They turned our own weapons against us. They're using our technology better than we are." The truth was even more unsettling. During the engagement, the humans hadn't just defended themselves, they'd captured disabled Velthar vessels and were already reverse engineering their technology. Captain Lyra Nightfall's engineering teams had cracked the biomechanical interface systems in less than 4 hours, something that had taken the Velthar centuries to perfect. "Sir," Intelligence Officer Yendar reported, his chromatophore skin cycling through distressed patterns, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the human fleet. They're upgrading their vessels with our technology." On the view screen, the human ships were transforming before their eyes. The mining vessel Ragnarok's Edge was integrating Velthar plasma conduits into its ore processing systems, creating hybrid weapons that shouldn't have been possible. The stealth corvettes were incorporating biomechanical components into their hulls, creating adaptive armor that shifted and evolved in real time. Captain Nix Valerian's voice echoed across the Quantum Communication Network. All units, this is Valerian. Phase 2 is now in effect. Remember, we're not just fighting them, we're learning from them. Every engagement is a lesson. Every defeat is data. The human fleet advanced, but not in the chaotic pattern they'd used before. They were applying what they'd learned about Velthar tactics, but with their own unique twist. Instead of the rigid formations the aliens expected, they created fluid, organic patterns that seemed to flow like water around the enemy's defensive positions. Commander Quinn Vesper, her ship now bristling with hybrid human Velthar weapons, led the assault on the alien flagship. But instead of directly engaging, she did something that violated every principle of galactic warfare. She broadcast a message. To the enemy crew, Velthar warriors, her voice carried across their communication channels. Your admiral has led you into a trap. We know your tactical doctrine, your weapon specifications, your defensive protocols. We've studied your empire's history, your conquests, your failures. But more importantly, we know something you don't. We know how to learn faster than you, can adapt. The psychological warfare was as devastating as the physical combat. The Velthar, who had conquered through intimidation and overwhelming force, found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to understand them better than they understood themselves. Captain Zara Voidwalker demonstrated this principle by hacking into the Velthar communication network and broadcasting their own tactical plans back at them, but modified with human innovations. The enemy fleet found themselves receiving contradictory orders, their own command structure turned against them. They're inside our systems, Yendar reported, his voice cracking. They're not just using our technology, they're improving it. Sir, they've enhanced our plasma weapons by 37% efficiency. They're making our own technology better than we ever could. The most terrifying moment came when Admiral Crix Thule realized the humans weren't trying to destroy his fleet. They were trying to recruit it. Captain Riven Ashford's voice came across the command channel, speaking perfect Velthar. Admiral, your empire sent you here to die. But we're offering you something better. The chance to evolve. Join us, and we'll show you what you could become. Several Velthar vessels began to waver, their crews questioning orders that had seemed so certain hours before. The humans had done something unthinkable. They'd turned a military engagement into a philosophical discussion about the nature of progress and adaptation. Admiral Crix Thule found himself facing a choice he'd never encountered in his military career. Surrender to an enemy that was offering to make him stronger, or continue fighting a war he was beginning to understand he could never win. The breaking point came when the humans did something that shattered every assumption the Velthar had about warfare. Instead of pressing their advantage, they stopped fighting and began rescuing the crews of disabled alien vessels. Admiral Crix Thule watched in stunned disbelief as human ships moved among the wreckage, not to salvage technology but to save lives. Captain Nyx Valerian's voice came across the command channel, her tone remarkably calm for someone in the middle of a battle. Admiral Crix Thule, we're detecting life signs aboard 17 of your damaged vessels. Our medical teams are standing by to provide assistance. All we ask in return is a conversation. It's a trap, General Voxic insisted, his cybernetic systems running continuous threat assessments. They're trying to board our ships, but Intelligence Officer Yendar's readings told a different story. Sir, they're not attempting infiltration. They're actually providing medical aid. They're saving our people. The rescue operation became a revelation. The humans didn't just possess superior adaptability, they possessed something the Velthar had lost over millennia of conquest, compassion combined with curiosity. They weren't fighting to destroy their enemies. They were fighting to understand them. Captain Lyra Nightfall's medical team aboard the Prometheus Unbound worked alongside Velthar survivors, sharing knowledge freely. Her chief medical officer, Dr. Kess Vanguard, was fascinated by the biomechanical integration of the alien physiology and began developing hybrid medical techniques that benefited both species. They're not trying to conquer us. whispered Sub-Commander Thexral, one of the rescued Velthar officers. They're trying to uplift us. They want to make us better. The true scope of human strategy became apparent when Commander Quinn Vesper transmitted a complete technological upgrade package to the Velthar fleet, not just improvements to their weapons, but enhancements to their life support systems, medical technology, and communication networks. We've been observing your empire for months, Captain Riven Ashford explained during a direct communication with Admiral Crixthul. We know about the resource depletion in your home system, the political instability, the technological stagnation. You're not conquering because you're strong. You're conquering because you're desperate. The revelation hit the Velthar command staff like a plasma bolt. Their empire, which they'd believed was at the peak of its power, was actually slowly dying. They'd been expanding outward not from strength but from necessity, each conquest buying them time they couldn't afford. But we can help, Captain Zara Voidwalker added. We can share our adaptive technologies, our problem-solving methodologies. We can show you how to revitalize your empire without destroying others. Admiral Crixthul found himself facing an impossible choice. His orders were clear: conquer or destroy. But the humans were offering something his species had never encountered: partnership instead of subjugation, growth instead of stagnation. Why? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Why would you help us after we came to destroy you? Captain. Nyx Valerian's response would echo across the galaxy for generations. Because we've learned that the greatest victory isn't defeating your enemies, it's turning them into allies. We've seen what happens when species fight to destroy rather than to learn. We refuse to repeat that mistake. The human fleet held position, waiting. Around them, the wreckage of the engagement served as a testament to both species' capabilities. But more importantly, it served as a choice point, a moment where the future of galactic civilization could be decided not through conquest, but through cooperation. Admiral Crixthul looked at his command staff, seeing his own uncertainty reflected in their expressions. For the first time in his military career, he was facing an enemy that had defeated him not through superior firepower, but through superior wisdom. The transformation began immediately. Admiral Crixthul's decision to accept human partnership sent shockwaves through the Velthar fleet, but it was the subsequent changes that would reshape galactic civilization forever. Within days, joint human-Velthar engineering teams were working, side by side, combining technologies in ways neither species had imagined possible. The biomechanical expertise of the Velthar merged with human adaptability, created hybrid systems that surpassed anything either species had achieved independently. Captain Nyx Valerian stood on the bridge of her flagship, now integrated with Velthar biotechnology that allowed her to interface directly with the ship's systems. Beside her, Sub-Commander Thexral, who had chosen to remain with the human fleet, monitored the growing network of cooperative vessels. The Galactic Council is demanding explanations, Thexral reported, his skin patterns now displaying emotions that had been suppressed for centuries. They're threatening to declare both our species rogue entities. Valerian smiled grimly. Let them try. We've already received communications from 12 other species requesting similar partnerships. The Zephyrian survivors from the previous engagement have provided detailed intelligence about Council corruption and resource hoarding. The revelation that the Galactic Council had been manipulating younger species into conflicts for their own benefit had spread like wildfire. The humans' approach, adaptation, cooperation, and mutual growth, offered an alternative to the endless cycle of conquest and subjugation that had defined galactic politics for millennia. Captain Quinn Vesper's voice came across the quantum communication network from her position in the asteroid belt. All units, this is Vesper. The Council fleet has dropped out of hyperspace. 3,000 vessels representing 7 different species. They're demanding immediate surrender of all human and Velthar assets. Admiral Crixthul, now serving as Joint Commander of the hybrid fleet, analyzed the tactical situation with his enhanced biomechanical processors. They still don't understand, he observed. They think this is about military superiority. They have no conception of what we've become. The Council fleet approached. In perfect formation, a massive display of overwhelming force designed to intimidate the upstart alliance. But they were facing something unprecedented in galactic history, a truly cooperative military force where different species' strengths complemented rather than competed with each other. Captain Zara Voidwalker, aboard her newly upgraded vessel, Entropy's Edge, demonstrated the new paradigm by broadcasting a message to the Council fleet in 17 different languages. Council forces, you are facing the future of galactic civilization. We offer you the same choice we offered the Velthar: evolve with us or remain trapped in your outdated paradigms. The response was predictable. A massive barrage of energy weapons designed to obliterate the small human Velthar fleet. But what happened next would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. The hybrid fleet didn't fight back, they adapted. Every weapon fired at them was analyzed, understood, and improved upon in real time. The biomechanical interfaces allowed instant communication between ships, creating a collective intelligence that learned faster than any individual could react. Captain Lyra Nightfall's vessel absorbed the Council's plasma bombardment and redirected it as a coherent beam that disabled 3 enemy flagships without causing casualties. Commander Riven Ashford's modified research vessel turned the Council's own communication network against them, broadcasting improved tactical algorithms that several Council species immediately began implementing. But the decisive moment came when Dr. Kess Vanguard transmitted a complete medical upgrade package to the Council fleet. Life support systems across thousands of ships suddenly became more efficient, medical bays received new treatment protocols, and crew members found their health improving in real time. "They're not fighting us," whispered Council Admiral Mordak, his species equivalent of amazement coloring his voice. They're improving us. The battle, if it could be called that, ended not with surrender, but with transformation. One by one, Council vessels began requesting permission to join the cooperative fleet. The humans had achieved something unprecedented. They'd won a war by making their enemies better than they were before. The final transmission came from Captain Nix Valerian, broadcast across the galaxy. "To all species of the Milky Way, we are the Adaptive Alliance. We offer not conquest but cooperation, not subjugation but symbiosis. Join us, and let's build a future worthy of the stars." Within a decade, the galaxy had been transformed. The old hierarchies of dominance were replaced by networks of cooperation. Species that had been enemies for millennia worked together to solve problems that had seemed insurmountable. The humans had kept their promise. They'd reduced a galactic empire to ashes. But from those ashes had risen something infinitely more valuable, a civilization based on learning, growth, and mutual respect. The warning label that had once read, "Do not engage, humans will reduce your galactic empire to ashes," was updated to reflect the new reality. "Engage carefully, humans will transform your galactic empire into something greater." And across the stars, other species began to understand what the humans had known all along. The greatest victory wasn't defeating your enemies, it was turning them into the best versions of themselves.